Hello guys, and welcome back to another exciting video about how terrible RWBY has become. You know, I feel that a lot of these videos have been kind of negative, and that might imply that I don't like RWBY, or that I never liked RWBY. So let me just start off here by affirming I used to love RWBY. It was one of my favorite animes, or animated series, or web series, whatever you want to call it. I literally have it tattooed on my arm, which I got during mid-volume 2, and subsequent volumes have made me consider changing the eyes into like a Sharingan or something. But considering, I got it as kind of an ode to Monty Oum, probably going to keep it. I do not like the current direction of RWBY, nor do I like the treatment of the established characters or how it feels like the writer's personal feelings and politics are bleeding into the story and oversaturating it with something that's just plain awful. That being said, one of my recent subscribers managed to hunt down my Rooster Teeth profile and a use of detective skills that I would consider only 15% stalkerish and about 85% pure talent. And they inboxed me a question because I admittedly have kind of slipped up and I've been busy lately with work and stuff, and I've just been trying to do other things that are boring, so it doesn't really matter. They asked me this question: do you think RWBY can be salvaged? And I just thought that was a question in and of itself that deserves its own video. And here's my response. However lengthy or short it is, I'm just gonna wing it. I don't even care. Could be two-parter, could be three-parter. Who really knows? But for those of you guys that were wondering, just kind of an off-topic thing here. In a few of my other videos, there was a slight jingling noise you could hear in the background. That was my dog. Whenever I'm talking, seemingly to myself, he comes over to see if I'm okay. And that's what that was. But I took it off, so he's fine now. Get your jimmies unrustled. You guys can tell me your personal opinion or interpretation of Monty Oum's original volumes, but let me share mine. Obviously, it's an ode to lore, mythology, fairy tales, and other stories. However, I saw it as more the base idea of a fairy tale. In the first volume, we have children who appear still bright and optimistic and ready to learn and ultimately want to change the world, but for selfish reasons mostly. And before they can do any of that, they have to come to learn to trust each other and depend on each other as a unit, as a family, as a second family, whatever you want to call it. In the second volume, they're becoming a team, they're coordinated, but they are clearly tasked with the overwhelming ambition of trying to save the whole world. It's not something they can do, but they don't seem to know that. Instead, they depend on each other and manage to thwart an attack, only somewhat, as the gears begin to turn and we see larger forces at work here, forces that dwarf these 4 young huntresses. The real-world aspect of this is staggering. In the third volume, we see the height of this. Things aren't happy-go-lucky anymore, and in fact, in the final few episodes, it's gut-wrenching and depressing, and real. It felt like a complete contrast to the standard fairy tale, where there was no happy ending, there was a happy beginning. I love that, even if the word on the street is that the Volume 3 was a gross perversion, going away from what Monty Oum originally wanted, and Rooster Teeth is effectively just trying to, line their pockets with money, which I kind of feel is true now. To me, I would have been okay with the series ending right where it was, at Volume 3's climax. That would have been the end, and just never creating another episode. I know fans would be upset, fans would be sad, and some might even riot, but we'd lay rest to the series Monty Oum created. But I think, would that not be just a little better compared to what has happened so far? Really? I feel like you could have just released a small little book illustration explaining what unknown powers were, or maybe even just turn the rights over to, the manga that it was being made into. Something like that, something that doesn't require a full crew in just a single direction. Now, this question is still broad, so I have to cover a lot of points here. And in my other videos, I mentioned that RWBY has a terrible habit of mistreating villains, and I usually go into a brief explanation about why I think, whatever I think. But this also expands to the protagonists themselves. After Volume 3's climax, I assumed that Ruby Rose was no longer going to be so much of a happy optimist all the time, and that maybe the tragedy she witnessed firsthand would change the way she sees the world, or maybe even make her doubt her purpose, her dream. Maybe she wasn't meant to be a huntress after all. The dude that was interviewing each one of them, the only one he didn't ask about whether or not they wanted to be a huntress was Ruby, because he knew, like in his bones, that this was what she was meant to do. This is what she was meant to be. It was just fate, destiny, whatever you want to call it. Only this character development isn't seen afterwards. Her reluctance and hesitation is shown, but she still resolves to save the world, and it doesn't feel like she's doing this out of her own want, rather her duty. And now you can say that's character development in and of itself, but honestly, what I'm looking for in a main character, especially one like Ruby Rose, is I want her to show some doubt, and I don't want her to be happy all the time. I know that sounds cruel, but it just seems like she's being way too happy, even now, even in Volume 6. I mean, in Volume 4, it seemed like maybe something had changed in her just a little bit. Maybe she was matured, but you don't see that anymore. It's just funniness and funniness and then funniness, and she still does things that just don't make sense. They're suicidal, and they're lined with not bravery, not courage. It's stupidity is what it is. And on the day the video dropped in Volume 6, I remember reading all the comments on it, and it was like, so many people were just like, why the hell did Ruby stand in front of a cannon, unknown of whether or not her plan was going to work? It was straight suicide. That's not brave or inspiring. It's dumb. That being said, this character, you can take either way with it. I always liked Ruby's quirky personality and, her kind of tomboyishness. That was a really appealing aspect of the character to me. But I still wanted her to kind of stray away from what she was in the beginning. I want to see a different final product. Maybe even someone that doesn't want to be a hero or doesn't want to be a huntress anymore. See that maybe she resolves to give up her dream of being a huntress after she saves the world or something like that. Just give some depth to this character so I can feel for her. She's the youngest one there, and she just has so much responsibility as the leader, but she doesn't seem to be suffering from that responsibility. She seems to be fine. Who else is there? Yang. Yang experiences a traumatic event. Trying to protect her close friend, she is easily defeated and loses her arm. This should have shell-shocked the character so hard. She was confident, cocky, always seeking adventure. It seemed like she couldn't be shook by anything. No one could stop her. She was the rock, Now she sees, that adventure doesn't always work in your favor. And maybe approaching things with your fist balled, ready to brawl, isn't the right way. She arguably, suffered the most. A blow to her ego and a scar that she'll carry for the rest of her life. Instead, Yang's trauma only appears to be effective in a short passing dream trance, stupid, where an unallotted amount of time has passed, and after resolving herself to get over it, she gets over it, and later confronts the very same person that literally disarmed her and caused her so much pain, and shows no issue. That's kind of a problem with this character, at least for me, because I know the time in it is just absolutely confusing, especially in the volumes where they explain that she's been training for weeks, and it just doesn't make too much sense because the time, she doesn't appear to have enough screen time to verify that, she's getting over this crutch. And I feel like it would have been better if she did have some screen time, maybe even a little bit more of an emotional moment. Not that weird, awkward scene where it was like a bad joke and everybody was like laughing. That's what happens when you try to put a real life joke inside a freaking anime. It just comes off as awkward. But, that character should have definitely still been a little shook. And she should have changed, not just being, her whole like redemption arc has been apparently she's been using her semblance wrong. Not maybe she's being way too aggressive in fighting and needs to, like, I don't know, think of a different strategy or maybe even change her ways a little bit. But the only advice she's given is to just think more. And it's like, what? I just don't really get that. Maybe this character has some depth to it. Maybe I just haven't explored it enough. But, on the outside, this character had one of the worst things happen to her. And I was really super hopeful that she would, come back from it in her own right, but she hasn't really come back from it. She's just been, I'm good now. It's just like, whatever. Blake, Blake meets an old friend, a mentor, who carries out justice he feels the world deserves. She is stabbed and decides her only course of action is to run away, to hide from her close friends because she feels that Adam's wrath would follow her everywhere, and she didn't want them to get caught up in it. Regardless of how poor Adam's character is portrayed, this might make sense. If Adam hadn't claimed that he would kill everything she loved before her, implying that she would be his final target after he made her wallow in a horrible realization that she couldn't protect anyone, kind of like that speech Sephiroth gave Cloud. I feel like it would have made more sense for Blake to stay and defiantly protect the people she now loves, but that's just me. You know, at least Adam is definitely going to find Yang and finish the job, right? Except Adam just decides to chase Blake, and only Blake, because, psycho ex-boyfriend. Also, I'm still kind of confused about that, just an offhanded note. Apparently, Adam's like in his early to late 20s, and Blake is, 16, 17 when they were allegedly together? Rooster Teeth, come on. Now right there, that right there is proof that you're shoehorning in this romantic shit. Because originally Blake and Adam, they were mentor and student, allegedly, apparently, not romantic. You guys are just straight up making him a pedophile too now. Jesus Christ. And then you get Weiss. Now, a lot of people don't really like Weiss, but I thought her character progression was it was good. It was nice. Originally she was this snobby teen that thought she was forced to be perfect all the time, and so she wanted to be perfect in this way. She was told she couldn't be a fighter, so she wanted to become a fighter. And it's like something that a lot of people can relate to when you're told, you can't do something, and then you just do it. Fuck it. She's locked in a room and starts training by herself, and it's just like, then, like, this character, I don't know what happened to it, but it's just, then she loses control of her powers because she got angry and doesn't know how to undo it. It's, Weiss gets, seriously injured, and that was a part that, I thought maybe that was going to be significant. Maybe they finally took some balls here and decided to just kill this character off, but they didn't, obviously, because John hacks. But this character should have definitely had a little bit more, I guess, exposure with the White Fang and maybe Adam. This character should have definitely been fleshed out more, because in the first couple volumes she talks about how her family and friends, were killed just because they were Schnee and they were a part of this company, and that's true. And then we see what happened to Adam, how he was branded, and it was horrible. And so there's a correlation there. Maybe she didn't know how evil her company was, and blah blah blah. And then it just turns into like her trying to be not daddy's girl, and her dad's just a fucking straight sociopath, and it's just weird. I don't know how to explain it. I enjoyed it, her character development initially, her resolve to like not take his money. That was great. Her dynamic with her sister was awesome, who was later never seen again. But it's just I don't like her character too much, I guess. Not anymore. But that's just the gist of it now. Both villains and heroes changed. They don't follow their own rules or beliefs, and don't believe in a way that I considered, well, I'm not going to say realistic, but believable, My last example would be John. I, for one, love John as a character. He was human. He was a regular dude, like me, shameless plug, compared to these genius tier teens that literally build and design their own complex weapons or have these amazing abilities. He had a hand-me-down sword and didn't even know his ability, didn't even know how to unlock his aura. And I wanted to make a video on how I thought John got wasted too, and I probably will. But consider the little guy for a minute here, He was average, dull, couldn't hold his own in a fight, but we saw him slowly progressing to just the point of where he wasn't totally useless. Now, I can say with confidence that John's blindness to love is relatable, as plenty of people don't realize someone that they are close to has intense feelings for them until it's too late. Dude is straight up hashtag relatable. But slowly and surely, his character just faded into the background. He literally literally became a side character. And just from the way he was introduced in volumes 1 and 2, I thought he was going to be like a real pivotal character. Thought he was going to take the spotlight with the Ruby Gang as main, his heritage of great heroes, his unknown powers. He was reluctant. He had to lie and cheat to get where he was at, and he was humble about it. Everyone was looking for him. Everyone was like, hey, what's this guy going to be? Is he going to be insanely powerful? Like, what is it? And then they just kind of forgot about him. I mean, seriously, the most emotional moment I felt in recent volumes, and I'm sure everyone will agree with me, was John and Pyrrha training video. That scene, straight, ugly, crying. It made me realize Jean had suffered more than Ruby. No, he didn't witness Pyrrha's death, but he felt it. And worse, he was helpless to stop it. He knew it was coming, and now all he has to remember her is this single video that she left him. Now, I won't critique the fact that the video is literally like swish, swish, stab, good job, training. But the emotional impact was great. And most of that was lost later on. Even in Volume 6, where he finds the statue and presumably Pyrrha's mother, I just didn't care. It's like, fuck. They milked the emotional response from me. You just can't keep showing me over and over and just be like, hey, remember how sad you were when this happened? Like, hell, it desensitized me to Pyrrha's death. I don't even care anymore. I don't even care about the sadness that they shared. It's just like, I'm over it. And if I'm over it, John should be over it too. But Jesus. It might seem like I'm getting off track here, but I swear this is all related to my lengthy in-game point. Ruby can be salvaged if the writers, producers, and directors stop doing whatever they are doing and focus on these points. Humanizing the heroes. And I don't mean crying every now and then or having alcoholism be a problem, even though it is a serious problem. Yes, I understand. I have parents. I'm talking about the main ones, mostly Ruby. They are just, they're not the same. In the first volumes, it felt like we were seeing them grow and experience the world, and now it feels like whenever they have this scene, it's just a bad roleplay game, and I selected the wrong conversation cue, or I just straight up didn't answer. When I say humanize, I again think of John. He is so far the most human character. John represents just a regular dude in an extraordinary world, and for a lot of us, at least the male viewers, I don't know, that's kind of your starting point. You're like, dude, this guy's so out of his element. That's like straight up me. It's like how awkward everybody is when they first go to school at a new school that they don't feel like they belong. He was out for the girl he admired and never took notice of the girl that loved him. And that shit just hits me where I live. I'm going to stop this video here. Honestly, guys, this is just my opinion on stuff, and this is just me talking about it. Here's what I want you guys to do, because this is important, and it's about what I do next. And all I need you to do is just go down to the comment section and reply which one you want me to do, alright? Now, the first thing that I could do, one, is a different video. I could review the complete series from Volume 1 to Volume 6. That would take me some time, but I could do it. And I'd probably just do episode by episode, pretty quick summaries of how I feel, blah, 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 whatever. Or I could strictly do a review of Volume 6 and have each one be an episode analysis. Or I could do a video about how I would have written the character Adam Taurus. So those are the three options that I'm kind of considering right now, and I really just need you to tell me which one you think I should do, because I don't know, I'm really indecisive. Oh, and as always, guys, the response I've received so far has been amazing, and I know some YouTubers are like, oh my god, I went from 5 subscribers to 50,000 in one day. It's like, okay, whatever. I'm pretty stoked. I don't remember what I was at last time. I think it was like, I just don't remember. But right now, I think we're at around 50 subscribers, which is awesome. So now, I usually thank you guys, but some of you, I don't know what your settings are, if they're private or whatever it is, but I can't see when you subscribe. So if I don't say your name, I apologize. I just leave a comment, I guess. I don't know. So thanks to all my new subscribers, Daryl, Liz, Michelle, Joshua, Quio, I hope I said that right. Joka, hope I said that right. Oh god, bad start. West, Ayana, Tay D20, DD, Michael Rivers, Angelos, Lebidba. Alright, that last one. Lediba. That last one, dude, I'm sorry, man. Ma'am, whatever. I apologize. I'm bad. I'm bad at reading names. I Americanize everything. I'm sorry. But thank you so much for all the new subscriptions. You guys are awesome, and I'm, the OG. Anybody that subscribes below like 100 is OG. You guys are the best. And I'm trying to kind of be a little bit more interactive with you guys so that I can, because this is fun, it's fun to talk about this kind of stuff. So if there's an anime you guys suggest I watch or a manga you suggest I read, I don't care if I said either of those wrong, let me know, because recently I just finished reading my current series, and I don't really have much to do, and I don't really like wadding through a bunch of them. I kind of like more combat action orientated, stuff, so let me know. But as always, guys, if you are new to this channel and you just don't know what's going on, or you're just like, wow, this guy's annoying, now I know asking people to subscribe every video is just annoying and it's boring, but it is the best way to help grow a channel, so I'm not going to ask, I'm just going to assume that you know. Thanks for watching, guys. Just a regular dude, and you guys are the regulars. That's dumb.